A very good evening. Welcome to Premier League Live this Monday night as we watch two of the newly promoted teams in Sunderland and Burnley face off at the Stadium of Light, with Sunderland looking to jump back into the top half of the table after what has been a pretty surprise season for the Black Cats. But for Burnley, they sit 15 points in the table, a good 11 adrift of safety, and in desperate need of some points if they are to stay in the Premier League. A real tussle to end match day 24 in the Premier League that has already entertained so far. The last time we were with you, we concluded all of Saturday's fixtures. Brighton won, Everton won, that late Beto goal securing a point for David Moyes' side, and he's been criticised for his celebrations, you got to say, after that late goal at the Amex. It was 4-0 for the title hopefuls, and certainly the leaders in the table. 4-0 winners were Arsenal at Elland Road. 2-0 victors were Bournemouth away at Wolves, who are rock bottom of the table and looking all but certain to be going down. Chelsea had to come from 2-0 down to beat West Ham by 3-2. And another comeback, that was at Anfield, when Newcastle went 1 up and Liverpool came back and won by 4-1. A much needed victory for Arne Slot in 2026. That was Saturday's action. Yesterday's action, 4 games for you. We'll go into full depth on all 4 of those games at half time, but a quick check-up on them. Brentford were 1-0 victors away at Aston Villa. Body blow to Aston Villa's somewhat, in quotation marks, title hopes. Manchester United led 3 times, and it was the last time that they led was to be the winner in added time. Benjamin Šeško with the late goal to secure its now 3 wins out of 3 for Michael Carrick as Manchester United interim boss after back-to-back wins against City and Arsenal, a home win against Fulham. And maybe, just maybe, that fella might be getting a haircut very soon. Elsewhere at the City Ground, Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace, 2 sides have come on hard times in the last few weeks. They're in the bottom 6, those 2. They are fighting for points, and they shared the points there at the City Ground. And it was also a sharing of the points at in North London at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, as Spurs came from 2-0 down to draw with Manchester City by 2-2 in the end, and more drop points for City in trying to chase Arsenal in the title race. That is a dramatic weekend. We'll tell you all about yesterday's fixtures a little later, but if that wasn't enough, it's already been deadline day across Europe. Of course, the transfer window closed at 7 o'clock this evening UK time, and let's bring you some interesting stories from the day. It's been an overall quiet day when it comes to the Premier League in terms of kind of the big stories that have happened, but some key information. Crystal Palace, of course, there has been some movement in the forward line of a couple of clubs, but of course with Wolves now expected to be relegated, Jørgen Strand Larsen has made the move to Crystal Palace for a whopping £48 million, a club record for Crystal Palace. 48 million for the Norwegian. Liverpool, as we've heard over the last 24 hours or so, they've reached an agreement to sign Rennes defender Jeremy Jacquet for £60 million. The Frenchman will join, though, in the summer. He will rejoin Rennes on loan until the end of the season, but he will be a Liverpool player come July. Jean-Philippe Mateta, after Jørgen Strand Larsen was coming to Palace, we thought there would be a Palace striker going out, but that move for Jean-Philippe Mateta to AC Milan that was proposed earlier today fell through, so he looks likely to be staying at Palace for the remainder of the season. And that's a little typo there, but they haven't paid £20 bid. It's a £20 million bid from Crystal Palace to sign Everton winger Dwight McNeil. We await to find out what happens there, whether that will go through or not, and we'll find out very shortly. Of course, we'll keep you right up to date if anything else happens throughout the night, but that was a few key details from deadline day. Back to tonight's game, though. As I said, Sunderland in 11th, Burnley in 19th. And both want to return to some good form. Burnley really haven't hit any good form this season, second bottom in the table, but a Sunderland side who have the only unbeaten home record in the Premier League left is that under risk tonight. We'll find out. Let's have a look at the 2 teams, and we start with the home side, Sunderland. A few injuries, including their captain, Granit Xhaka. He's out. Robin Roofs continues in goal. They've gone for a back 4 of Mukiele, Ballard, Alderete and Reynildo. A very familiar-looking back 4 for Sunderland. Siddiqui and Diarra come into midfield. Diarra, who started all 4 of the first 4 games of the season, but injuries and the AFCON interrupted that. He's back and in the starting lineup. Enzo Lefebvre in the 10. Trey Hume, we believe, is going on the right wing. Talby on the left, and Brian Brobby leads the Sunderland line. On the bench for the home team, Moore, Jones, Sirkin, O'Nien, Gertrude, who was linked with a move to Liverpool earlier this week. He is on the bench for Sunderland. Rigg, Mundell, Isidore and Mayenda amongst them. For Burnley, it's been a tough run, but they've actually drawn 5 of their last 7 Premier League games, so maybe, albeit a minimal uptick, but something in the right direction for Scott Parker's team. But they've 15 games to try and correct it, and they're running out of time. They start with Martin Dubravka in goal. A back 5, we believe, of Walker, Twanzebe, Esteve, Humphreys and Perez. In midfield, Luis and Ugo Chukwu, with a front 3 of Edwards, Anthony and Lyle Foster gets the nod up front. On the bench, Weiss, Worrell, Mabry, James Ward-Prowse, who signed this January window, Brun Larson, Laurent, Chauna, Fleming and Armando Broja drops to the bench. Well, Sunderland want to move into the top half of the table and maybe up to 8th with a victory tonight. Level on points they would be with Brentford if they were able to do so, pushing towards European football. Well, Burnley want to be here next season in the Premier League, but they sit 11 adrift of 17th place Forest. It's a real uphill battle, but they will be hoping that the final 15 games of the season can help them on their way to safety. Kick-off between 2 newly promoted sides with very different seasons. Kick-off at the Stadium of Light is next. A very good evening, welcome to Premier League Live tonight for this one to round off match day 24 in the Premier League. And as I said, 2 sides with very different campaigns after they were both promoted from the Championship last season. Burnley 100 points, a rare Centurion season for the Clarets, but this one a very different campaign. For Sunderland, they were the team that actually came up through the playoffs, but they've been the ones that have impressed the most out of the 3 that have made the jump. And they have made one hell of a jump, have Sunderland up to the Premier League. As we get underway with Burnley getting us going. And as I said at the start of tonight, Sunderland the only Premier League side to remain unbeaten at home this season. 6 wins and 5 draws from their 11 home games. The Stadium of Light, a real fortress, and they've held Arsenal, Manchester City, amongst some of the best in the league, to just a point at the very most here this season, which is quite impressive from Regis Lebris' side. They'll be hoping that they can get a bit of revenge on the team they played tonight in Burnley, who beat them 2-0 at Turf Moor back in August, albeit only one of 3 wins that Burnley have accumulated all season. It was their first of the campaign when they did it all the way back on match day 3. There's a bit of pressure on Roofs here by Foster. Roofs gets clear and trying to keep it in play there was Talby, but the ball just had too much pace on it. And Burnley get the early throw in. Decent start from the visitors though, who have it all up against them. Albeit a bit better than Wolves. They've almost doubled the points tally of the team just below them in Wolves, but 15 points out of 23 league games is below, well below what they need to be in contention for safety this season. I mean, even doubling their points tally at this rate would still be a struggle, with the majority of the teams outside the relegation zone close to that 30-point mark, if not already there. And Burnley are 15 away from 30 points. It's a long road, but you never know. We've seen West Ham pick up a decent run of form in the last few games. If they can really kick on, and West Ham looked as bad as anybody in the Premier League the first half of the campaign, if they can pick up form, and Wolves can pick up form in their little spell that they had, well, why couldn't Burnley too? But as I said, probably they're in their best form of the season. 5 draws out of the last 7 games in all in the Premier League, including some interesting draws at that as well. And more so, I'm sure, than they draw away at Anfield. Here's Talby though for Sunderland, finding Diarra, who switches it out to Mukiele on the right hand side, trying to find the free man, and Broby in the middle. Cleared away though by the Burnley defence, as they want the handball here against Lyle Foster, and the referee does give a free kick to Sunderland for said handball. And we see it again here. Mukiele trying to whip the cross in, and it's well defended. And then we see as Lyle Foster tries to hold it up against Alderete. He just kind of clips it with his left arm to try and take control of the ball. It's definitely a free kick. Now, a conversation for the home players. Trey Hume, who has the armband tonight for Sunderland, of course, in the absence of Granit Xhaka, who's been a real stalwart in that midfield for the success of the Black Cats this season. He's amongst. He's not going to take the free kick. It's going to be Sadiq. He takes it short, and Hume will deliver it in. Scrambled away by the Burnley defence, and everybody back there in the light blue of Burnley. As Lefay breaks down the left-hand side. Works it inside, finds Reynildo, who chips it round the back. Again away by a Esteve this time. A bit of pressure by Sunderland on the visitors. Cycled well, Reynildo. Down the left-hand side, Tolby has one to chase, but Kyle Walker, the experienced head, should guide that one out, and does so. Goal kick to Burnley. Nicely done by Kyle Walker, but again, a little bit of pressure from Sunderland from those crosses. Enzo Lefay, the first real time we've really seen him get involved in the game in the first 4 minutes, and whips a decent ball in. Well, that's not a record Scott Parker will want to hark back to anytime soon. He's won 12 of 70 of his last 75 games as a Premier League manager. That is horrendous. 12 of 75. I mean, honestly, he's probably had it up against him. The clubs he's managed in that time have probably been clubs that have been expected to be relegated. But, I mean, 12 of 75 is horrendous. And so far, as I said, they've only picked up 3 wins this season of Burnley. In terms of their away form, it's not much better. It's picked up a total of 5 points out of 15 that they've accumulated this season away from home. 1 win, 2 draws and 8 defeats from their 11 away games this campaign. Only Wolves are worse on that run. They've only picked up 3 points, and they're the only side without an away win, are Wolves. Albeit, actually, it's come down to probably home form that has kept the newly promoted sides in a propped up position, albeit Burnley are a bit of an outlier. But Sunderland and Leeds, quite a stark contrast. Their home forms are quite good, but in terms of away form, the 3 promoted sides are the 3 of the 4 worst teams away from home this season. That's why making your home a fortress is so important, and Sunderland are a perfect example of that. Leeds are a pretty level-headed team at home, albeit thumped by Arsenal at Elland Road at the weekends. And decent little bit of spell of possession here for Sunderland. Ballard to Alderete. Oh, caught in possession there, as Luis was trying to make the difference in the middle, but not quite finding that ball to Jadon Anthony. He's picked up the loose one though, away from Mukiele, who got a little awkward. Sloppiness there from the home team. As Florentino plays it back to Tuanzebe, now finds Walker. Lovely little link up there in the middle. As Walker will just drift it back to Axel Tuanzebe. And across to Maxime Esteve. Right, welcome in Andy, welcome in Char. Thank you very much for joining us. Here's Walker down the right hand side, plays it back inside to Florentino. Linking up with Humphreys. Florentino across. Down the left it goes to Humphreys now. Florentino back to Humphreys. They're just popping it around a little bit here, Burnley, trying to exploit some space, but Sunderland sitting deep. Settled out of possession. 5-4-1 off the ball. The home side, as you can see there, clear 2 banks. 5 and then 4 and then a lone striker. Broby up there, but Burnley trying to play through them. Working it down the left. Nicely linked up. Anthony plays the ball beautifully through Down the left-hand side, there's options for the cross, which too close to Robin Roofs, who watched it all the way and was comfortable. And it was, again, I think it might have been Perez that made that run down that left-hand side, and Anthony just plays it through, links it up, and no one really tracks him. And as he gets the cross in, takes a little deflection and into the hands of Robin Roofs, who's comfortable. On top of the home form for Sunderland, their goalkeeper certainly impressed. Robin Roofs in his performances this season has come up with some really top-class saves at times. The third most saves of any Premier League goalkeeper this season, a Sunderland man. That's lovely from Sunderland though. Beautiful play. Into the box comes Brobby, gets a second shot and deflected it in. And that's going to give the home side the lead. He needed a second look at it. He got a second look at it. And it's Sunderland 1, Burnley 0. And really from nothing, the home side take the lead. Cruelly for the visitors to take. Deflection that takes it through past the goalkeeper in Martin Dubravka. Again, beautiful link up, really good play. You gotta say it's really good play by Diarra and Brobby, and it's Diarra has a go, has it stopped initially by Esteve, and then as he goes for it again, it deflects wickedly. I think off Twanzebe that has the last touch. It just comes off him completely wrong foot to the goalkeeper. And you got to say, when your luck's against you, it's only in those occasions that things like that happen against you, and Burnley must feel that the world is against them at this moment in time. And we talked about it. Habib Diarra started the first 4 games for Sunderland in the league this season. As I said, injuries in the AFCON interrupted it. And he returns and it makes a scoring return for Sunderland this evening to give them an early lead. But it's another setback for Scott Parker and Burnley. They've had quite a few of them this season, but this one's going to hurt. Of course, Sunderland failed to score in the reverse fixture. It was really one of their big problems, with the fact they couldn't find a way past. And here comes Brobby making the run in behind again. Esteve and Perez on the scene, but not able to retrieve the ball. And Brobby does really well in his hold-up play. It works its way back to Mukiele, and they'll settle in possession, Sunderland. As I said, Habib Diarra back into the side and making an impact, the 22-year-old Senegalese. Of course, signed for Sunderland in the summer. £27.5 million from Strasbourg. And that's his first goal for the club. And of course, after he scored 4 goals in 30 appearances in Ligue 1 last season for Strasbourg. Promising midfield attacker. Or attacking midfielder is what I should say. And he proved it there with that finish, albeit helped along its way. Brobby well battled on there by Esteve, and the ball in behind was a little too heavy for Edwards. Comfortably retrieved by Sunderland as they break down the left side here with Reynildo. Plays it on to Tolby. Tolby tracked by Walker, steps inside, does Tolby, then outside, flicks it back to Reynildo. Whips the ball in with his right foot as they head it clear again, Burnley. Perez that time, but Mukiele picks up. Hume bundled over, wanting a foul. Referee is going to give the free kick. Took a second there, the referee, to make a decision. When he did, it goes the way of the home side once again. Paul Tierney, our referee this evening. I've got to say, Burnley feeling like they're under the cosh now. Only 12 minutes gone. They trail by a goal to 0, and they feel it's really the momentum is massively against them. Stuart Otwell, our VAR, by the way. And another free kick for Sunderland here. Trey Hume. It's 1 of 2 over it. I think he couldn't see the other player. An opportunity, it might be Enzo Lefebvre actually. Lefebvre leaves it. It's Hume's delivery. It's up and away into the air by Esteve. It's not fully cleared. Drops for Tolby. Little off balance, Mukiele. Oh, probably should have left it to the attacking players there, Mukiele. I'll just say that. It went well into Rosette. No chance. Again, a good delivery by Hume. Stev gets contact to it, but he kind of knocks it up into the air. It's Broby battling with Florentino, and then it's kept alive in the edge of the box between Tolby and Mukiele, and Mukiele just completely fluffs the lines of the finish. But again, decent from Sunderland once more. More positive signs for the home team that they're progressing in this game, and they want to use that lead as foundation to build even further. And of course, albeit right now they're nowhere near the conversation of relegation. They said 11th, 13 clear of the drop zone. Well, that's a ball in behind here. Broby making a nuisance of himself again. He's done really well again, albeit the ball just being deflected away by Ugochukwu. But again, really causing some problems, Brian Broby, to that Burnley back line, and they really cannot deal with them at the minute. He's all over them. Incredible play. Enzo Lefebvre picks it up in the middle. Ballard across to Alderete. Now Reynildo. One thing you got to say about Sunderland, albeit they had real issues with AFCON, although Alderete's given it away cheaply here. Edwards on the chase, but Big Dan Ballard is there to mop it up and deal with the situation. Nice stride forward of his own. Finds it to Siddiqui to recycle for Sunderland. But one thing I do have to say about a lot of talk this season about their AFCON and how many players that would be going to AFCON in the Sunderland squad. One thing that stayed consistent right throughout that is their defence. It's a really strong defence. It's actually the third best in the league according to goals conceded. Only City and Arsenal have conceded less goals than Sunderland this season, which goes to show how strong and stubborn that defence is, and how important it is for this team, that defensive structure. Oh, that's given away by Burnley again, really cheaply. Diarra got in a bit of a muddle, didn't know whether to go which way, and ended up going nowhere and losing possession, and then giving away a free kick to Jadon Anthony. Again, sloppy from Burnley, really unnecessary play. Could have found themselves in much more trouble than they did there, but really tough. Again, they don't find improvements, they don't get up to speed, Burnley. They can really be cast adrift here quite quickly, because Sunderland have got the energy, the sharpness, the quality of players. We've already seen Broby's impact in the hold-up for the opener and getting the assist, and he's already really causing a nuisance to that Burnley defence amongst a number of other players in and around the area. They don't get to grips with it quickly, Burnley. They will be in real danger of this game being completely away from them in a matter of minutes. Here is Roofs under a bit of pressure, but he sends it long. Trying to find Broby. The first ball was well defended, but the second ball taken down by Sunderland. Picked up by Lefebvre. Mukiele on the overlap down the right. Nicely fed in. Mukiele's cross. Tolby got the connection to it, but couldn't find the accuracy. Really good play again. Lefebvre picks it up in a pocket. He waits for the overlap and run of Mukiele. Just breaks him behind the Burnley defence. I mean, I gotta say, from Burnley's point of view, that's hopeless defending. I mean, it's the most obvious pass that's going to happen, and the defender still finds himself 5 yards away from him when the pass is made. It's really lazy defending. Oh, Ballard and Mukiele almost muddled that one up. I mean, it was so obvious that Mukiele's overlap was going to be the pass. We still couldn't get anywhere near it. And then Tolby was the first to react in the box. But, as I say, Burnley are more... I mean, if there's a worse than second best, they're worse than that at the moment. They're nowhere near it. I think the referee's done more running than they have at this early stage. Andy says Burnley have played well at times in games. Liverpool result was good for them. Of course, I mean, drawing away at Anfield is a good result as any. They were absolutely bombarded, and I think defensively that day they sat back, they sat deep, and it's been a real, Achilles heel of Liverpool this season is breaking down low blocks and teams that sit in and don't want to really come out and play football. And Burnley, credit to them, they scored with their I think their only shot on target, if not one of only 2 shots on target at Anfield, and the perfect away performance to get the result they probably deserved on the day. But ultimately, you got to say, you know, the point, it comes to reason, you know, we talk about it every season, but the newly promoted teams, they're not going to stay up based on their performances away at Anfield or the Emirates or Old Trafford or the Etihad Stadium. It doesn't matter about those results, because 9 times out of 10 you'll lose those games. But it matters how you play against those in and around you. It's the most obvious thing to say, but it's about taking points off those in and around you. Albeit I think Sunderland away is now categorised, albeit they're both newly promoted teams, but probably a really tough result, or a tough game for Burnley, and evident in the first 20 minutes here, because Brobbey's tearing them apart again. Esteve is having a torrid time at the minute. Here's Diarra on the right hand side. He's got the cover there of Humphreys, but unable to use it to his advantage defensively there for Burnley. Sunderland receive the ball again. But I think Burnley, the type of games they need to be focused on picking up points in was Wolves or West Ham or Crystal Palace or Nottingham Forest or Leeds, etc., etc. Those type of teams in and around them, that echelon above them. I mean, you get a draw, fantastic, but you need wins at this stage of the season. Draws are good early in the campaign to build a bit of confidence and get some big results, but you need wins when you're in the position they're in. And 11 adrift of safety. Forest picking up another point this weekend. Leeds beaten, but they're still a good distance away. Palace picking up another point. You know, I think Burnley need to catch up quick, otherwise this could be curtains, like it is almost certainly for Wolves. Just short of 20 minutes going here at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland lead by a goal to 0. And Habib Diarra deflected effort off Axel Tuanzebe's given the home side the lead, and it's been all Sunderland since. They've been dominant. Burnley have really been able to do nothing. They haven't had a shot yet. They've had 42% possession. Look at the little bits of skill there from Alderete and Siddiqui. You can just feel, you can see it. You don't need to worry about tactics or formations or anything like that. You can just see the way the two players are playing, the two sets of players are playing. One full of confidence in the position and the way they've played this season and where they are in the Premier League, and the other really void of confidence and really struggling. And you can certainly see that from the way you watch both teams so far this first 20 minutes. Sunderland are not afraid to take risks. Certainly see that. Sometimes they might give the ball away, but that's the nature of it. You take the risk of trying to make something happen, and sometimes you give the ball away. Albeit only one shot on target, that was the goal. At all, despite the deflection by Axel Tuanzebe, it will go down as a Habib Diarra goal because his shot was initially on target, and therefore it would have been his goal no matter what. Oh, given away by Kyle Walker again. Burnley making unnecessary risks in really strange areas, and Walker got away with that one. He had enough bodies back, but again, Burnley a little bit naive in some of the play that they've had so far. At least they're trying to take risks, but calculated risks. Humphreys. Perez back to Humphreys. And across now to Tuanzebe. Settled with a little bit more possession at the moment, Burnley, but as I said earlier, Sunderland were happy enough to let them away with that in the first few minutes, as that's going to be a late challenge on Edwards. And it's going to be a free kick to the visitors. Mukiele arguing his case against the referee Paul Tierney, but I think that's very harsh, if I'm honest, against Mukiele. He got the ball, he cleanly won the ball, and in the end Edwards kind of done a little bit of a salmon dive over the top of him. The referee was right there, and Marcus Edwards maybe a little bit fortunate to get that free kick. halfway through the first half. It is the home side who lead, but Burnley a little bit more possession in the last few minutes, and now with a positive free kick position inside the Sunderland half, and a chance to get some of those target players up the field. Extra bit of height in the attacking areas. Opportunity here then. So it is Ferris to take the free kick. Goes short, which is strange. Walker. Actually, Ferris. I'm actually not sure what has happened there. He's given a free kick against Burnley, the referee. I mean, I'm baffled why they haven't tried to put the ball into the box there. I mean, they tried to go short and completely messed it up. Bizarre. Really bizarre. Again, another angled ball from the back there. The Renildo this time intercepted, but Talby's there to retrieve. Seen out of play by Florentino. Out for the Sunderland throw. And really, I don't understand how that was given as a Sunderland free kick. Maybe I'm just completely stupid and I don't understand the rules, but I think I am being stupid, but I have no idea what actually happened. Enzo Lefebvre finds it back to Ballard. Oh, Mukiele, heavy touch. Allows Ferris to try and recycle. Was the last touch off Mukiele, so it will be a Burnley throw. Maybe had one or two things go their way in the last few minutes. The Clarets. That's what they need. Settle themselves back into the game, create some sort of threat. They've got options. Of course, Jaden Anthony's been, I think they've really done anything positive this season. Burnley, it's mostly come through him and his creativity and his combination of pace and physicality. Here's Ukachukwu. Edwards, a tricky little player in between the lines. He plays it back to Twanzebe, back to Walker. Looking for the switch ball towards Ferris, who heads it back towards Humphreys, who just has to see it, guide it back to Esteve. Just trying to create a little bit of momentum at the minute, Burnley. And Sunderland standing off and allowing them to have a little bit of the ball, although that's probably why. Architects of their own downfall. Kyle Walker nowhere near that pass from Axel Twanzebe. Sunderland throw in. Well, Sunderland have lost just one of their last 12 home league games against Burnley. They've won 8 and drawn 3 when they lost 4-2 in the Championship back in October of 2022. That was their only defeat in 12 at home in the league against Burnley. Now, the last time these two met at the Stadium of Light was, of course, back in the Championship in August of 2024. All the way at the start of the two sides' promotion season. And Sunderland won by a goal to nil on that occasion, despite being down to 10 men late. And Dan Neil was sent off, but Romain Mundle, who's on the bench tonight for Sunderland, he got the only goal of the game, set up by Patrick Roberts, to give the Black Cats the lead and the win on that night. Ultimately. Renildo trying to battle, and Ukachukwu sees it out for another Sunderland throw. Well, Regis Labrise has had one hell of a incredible season as the Sunderland boss so far this campaign. Unbeaten home record, a really good points tally and position for a newly promoted side, and there's a real breath of fresh air to the Premier League. Sunderland, I think all three of the newly promoted sides, albeit Burnley, are kind of the outliers in the fact that they really haven't done anything too surprising for a newly promoted team. But I think we talked about it way early in the campaign about how worrying it could be if the newly promoted sides head straight back down to the Championship, as was the case in the previous two seasons. But we've given a good fight of it this campaign, and Leeds a good 11 clear of Burnley, albeit only 6 clear of the relegation zone. Sunderland a good 7 clear of the relegation zone as it stands. Oh, good positive play here again. Diarra wins it back. Mukiele back to Diarra. Just got there ahead of Florentino. Siddiqui. Sunderland patient, waiting for the right moments. Mukiele finds Hume. Hume having to work off the ball. Back to Lefay. All the way back to Dan Ballard now. Yeah, one thing about Sunderland, they don't force the issue. See, with a lot of teams that have the ability to go long and to play those straightforward passes, they get a little bit impatient and they want to move it really quickly. But Sunderland have that patience where they're like, we also want to go long, but we also want to be able to protect the ball and keep control of it, and doing a good job of it here. That's lovely from Alderete, albeit he tried to be too cute to find Siddiqui. Ends up caught in possession, and now Jayden Anthony comes across. Down the line it goes to Kyle Walker. Walker into the box for Ugochukwu. Nice little jink away, but well dealt with by Lefay on the back track, and Roofs can hoof it clear from danger. Yeah, 1 or 2 sloppy moments there from Sunderland. Certainly from Alderete, I've noticed. I mean, he did really good work when he broke forward into that little gap into the half space and carried it forward for the centre back, but then he tries to make this reverse ball. It's just really unnecessarily risky. Gives the ball away. 1 step forward, 1 step back essentially. Humphreys to Perez. Florentino back to Humphreys. Pace has quickened a little bit in the last few minutes. That's a lovely crunching challenge to win it back. It's Diarra now. Brobby on the turn. Quite reaches it. Talby cuts it back for Lefay, who strikes it right down the throat of the Burnley goalkeeper, Martin Dubravka. But again, a really good build-up play. All started between Diarra and Brobby again. They've been the real creative force of Sunderland so far this evening. The 9 and 19 combining, and they combined for the opener. Right now, they could have had another. Again, it's a crunching challenge, you got to say. Picked up by Diarra. Brobby on the half turn, and then Talby just couldn't get out of his feet. 4 defenders in his vicinity, and as he cut it back to Enzo Lefay, it was just a little behind him as he tried to stretch for it. What a challenge by Ballard. Incredible challenge. And they have a free kick to defend here to the home side. Kyle Walker over it, right hand side. They've gone short again. Back to Perez. Going deep though, and too much for Marcus Edwards to chase. Goal kick. I mean, honestly, whatever happened to just get the ball into the box? Twice Burnley have had free kicks in Sunderland's half. They've barely had any attacking threat, and they decide to go short. Completely ruin the momentum. Allow Sunderland to step up, catch a couple of players offside, or maybe you overhit the second ball. And on both occasions, they failed to really threaten at all. I mean, it's basics. Away from home, under pressure, 1-0 down. Just get the ball in the box, try something. You've really struggled to get anywhere near Sunderland's box at the minute. Try and put a ball in there, create a bit of chaos. Mukiele bursting down the right for Sunderland, trying to find Diarra. It falls for him, and he's found it again. It came off Dubravka's hands, and Diarra's shot turns into another Diarra goal. 2-0 to Sunderland, both by Habib Diarra. What a return to the starting 11. And he's doubled his side's lead. Again, it's really sharp football. It's Enzo Lefay. We saw this a little earlier in the game, albeit it came to nothing a little earlier when Lefay played it out wide to the overlapping Mukiele. Again, this time, acres of space for Mukiele down the right. He cuts it back, much cleaner, much sharper this time. Allows the effort of Diarra. Poorly defended again by Burnley. Florentino goes to ground. He plays it into the path of Diarra. And as Diarra takes it, struck it with his right and into the corner. Dubravka again, a poor bit of goalkeeping. It comes off his hands and palmed into his own net. I mean, I gotta say, despite him having 2 goals, he's had a lot of Burnley help in getting those 2 goals. No discredit to Habib Diarra, both taking deflections. I mean, they all count. But that is really, again, the theme of Burnley's season. Completely collapsing. And I mean, can you really question? I mean, honestly. I'm not surprised. I come into this game thinking Burnley will make it tough. They'll be dogged. They'll be rigid. They'll try and really outmuscle Sunderland. They've been dreadful. Honestly dreadful. It's probably one of the worst performances I've seen of any team this season. They've been in possession, woeful. Out of possession, woeful. Really lacking aggression and tackles. No energy, no intensity, no threat going forward. Hopeless in their own box. I mean, it's Sunday League football in their own defensive area. It's terrible. It's no wonder why they are where they are. Because, I mean, that's just dreadful football. Dreadful. All the way back here with Martin Dubravka. You gotta say, fair play to Sunderland. I mean, they've been there to take the opportunities when Burnley have handed it to them on a plate. Habib Diarra returns to the side. He gets 2 goals. You can see why he made 4 starts out of 4 at the start of the campaign. But a gloss ridden over it for Habib Diarra. But again, you might get the opportunities, but you have to take them. And he took both. And he has his side 2 goals to the lead. And a lead and a win, as it stands, that would take Sunderland up to 8th in the Premier League, just behind Brentford on goal difference. Both would be on 36 points out of 24 games. And funnily enough, Sunderland wouldn't be too far away from the top 5. They'd only 4 points off 5th place Chelsea if they win this game tonight. So it's none of the realms of possibility that Europe could be on the cards. A little bit of defending to do, though, there. And they do it well. Ultimately, Alderete and Reynolds get in there as Talby takes a heavy touch on the breakaway. Walker going for the switch ball. Again on the hit it. Ballard's there to win the header. Second ball taken down though by Perez. Finds Anthony. Now Florentino. Down the line it goes to Anthony. Whips another ball in and Alderete has to be there to put it behind for the corner. Edwards was the target, but they're complaining that there's a Sunderland player down. That's why the crowd were booing. You see it here. It's Mukiele that's just caught by Lyle Foster, but I mean, I don't know what he's complaining about there. I mean, they just kind of collide. There's not a foul in that whatsoever. I mean, there's nothing in it. And I said Sunderland were, or sorry, Burnley were a little lacking in aggression in their challenges. Lyle Foster was perfectly aggressive there and did the right thing. Won the ball back cleanly, albeit the man ended up in a bit of pain, but it's not a foul. And now Burnley have a corner. Well, if there's a time to respond, it's now, because they've been cast adrift for the 36 minutes of this first half. We've witnessed Habib Diarra's performance categorically sharp, albeit a slice of luck in his favour on both occasions, but as I said, if you get the chances you have to take them, and he's certainly done that. Habib Diarra. There's Mukiele, of course. I don't know whether he will get the assist because it came off Florentino Luis first and then into the path of Diarra. Albeit though, Broby's got the assist for the first one, and the first one was a Axel Tuanzebe deflection, so who knows. At the moment, both goals being credited to Diarra, but some hinting that it could change to an own goal. Didn't look like that to me. Looked like his shot was going on target, but Tuanzebe's deflection was quite a significant deflection. While Mukiele's receiving some treatment, it looks like Burnley are going to proceed with this corner. I think Sunderland will have one less player to defend this situation. If I can get my fingers out to count correctly. Corner to Burnley, left-footed delivery, or from the left-hand side, cleared away at the near post by Lefebvre. as it comes right back out wide, and Jayden Anthony couldn't get himself back on side from initially taking the corner. I mean, that's just pure laziness. I mean, dreadful. Dreadful. It's just little stupid errors like that. I mean, it's bizarre. Really bizarre. Anyway, at last 7 minutes of the first half to go. Sunderland 2, Burnley 0. Both goals from Habib Diarra. At the moment it stands that they're both accredited to him. But we have more action to come this midweek. We're back on Wednesday night for the second of the two return legs of the Carabao Cup semi-finals to see who will face either Arsenal or Chelsea in the final. We watch Man City 2 goals up against Newcastle at the Etihad on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Can the holders spring a comeback to try and reach the final once again, or will Man City be back in the final for the first time since 2021? We'll find out on Wednesday night. Of course, Arsenal against Chelsea is the return leg tomorrow at the Emirates at 8 o'clock as well, and we'll have full details of that following the conclusion of that game. Amongst that, a lot more to tell you about coming up this week on LFS. More information on that at half time, as well as all the recapping of yesterday's results in full detail, the 4 games that took place yesterday afternoon. We'll round them all up for you at half time, and of course, obviously, update you and summarise this first half of what we witnessed between these two at the Stadium of Light. So far so good for Sunderland, and quite honestly a first half to really forget for Burnley. There have been quite a few of those this season. This one, if I'm not mistaken, will probably be one of the most disappointing because they have been hopeless. Completely hopeless. Albeit though, despite the 2-goal lead, Sunderland have lost 2 of their last 3 Premier League matches. That's as many as they in their previous 13 combined. At the start of the season, they won 4 and drew 7. The Black Cats are yet to lose consecutive Premier League matches this season. One of 4 sides yet to do so. The others, Arsenal, Brighton and Man United, all yet to lose consecutive Premier League games this season. Interesting. Albeit, despite that, Burnley remain winless in their last 14 Premier League games. They've drawn 5 and lost 9. And that is in their top flight history, only from February 18, not even 1989, 1889 to February of 1890 have the Clarets endured a longer winless streak of 19 games. They're on a 14-game winless streak, the longest in 135 years. Mental. That's crazy. That's one hell of a stat, that is. And right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be getting any better. That run looks like it's going to continue. With a 2-0 deficit to try and overturn. Albeit, already this weekend we've seen deficits overturned. Spurs 2-0 down against City. Back to 2-2. Liverpool 1-0 down against Newcastle. 4-1 winners. Chelsea 2-0 down against West Ham. 3-2 winners. So it's not out of the realms of possibility. But it is a long shot, to say the very least. Header won by Ugochukwu. Headed out of play by Reynildo. Throw into Burnley. 3.5 minutes of the first half to go, and quick recap on the stats. Possession's been 50-50, slightly edged by Sunderland, 53-47. They've had 5 shots. Burnley still without a registered shot in the game. Sunderland 3 shots on target. Again, none for Burnley. Funnily enough, they've actually had the only corner of the game, the visitors, so far. Sunderland without a corner in the first half. And an XG of 0.48 from Sunderland's 2 goals to, of course, Burnley's 0. So they haven't had a single shot yet. But again, it's an issue that really, I mean, there's a lot of issues that Scott Parker has to resolve in a very short time to do so if they want to stay in the Premier League. But the first of which is being able to score goals. I mean, it's quite simple, but they've scored 25 goals in 23 games coming into this one. Now, that's not horrendous, but in terms of the teams below them, you know, it's not enamouring, and especially against a really strong defence, you're going to have a really tough time at finding anything against Sunderland in this game, never mind trying to find a way back into it. 25 goals in total this season. There are only 2 sides that have scored less than Sunderland or than Burnley this season in the Premier League, and they are Wolves and Nottingham Forest. Forest with 24, Wolves with 15. Albeit, though, coming into this game, you wouldn't believe this, coming into this game, Sunderland themselves had only scored 24. Albeit they've only conceded 26, so it's relative, but they're not the most prolific either, Sunderland, but they've found a way to put themselves 2-0 to the good here. Again, Edwards trying to carve something out, make some space in the middle. Lays it out wide to the left-hand side. Humphreys into Ugochukwu. Back to Humphreys, out wide it goes again. Perez now. Florentino popping it around Burnley, but no one really posing a threat towards the box. Here's Marcus Edwards lifting it towards the area, but as the ball skips through, it finds its way to Robin Roos and no one else who can gather quite comfortably. I mean, it's dreadful, that stats reading at the moment. I'll show you on the side of your screen in a second when I get the details to me, as Burnley have a bit more defending to do. It's Diarra again causing trouble, and it's going to be a free kick as he was fouled down that right hand side. Yeah, he just gets ahead of Ugochukwu, who just drags him back, continues dragging him back, and as Diarra tries to shield the ball, goes down. Yellow card for Ugochukwu, and a free kick for Sunderland. And Leslie Ugochukwu, first man to find the book tonight, as we hit the 45-minute mark, is up, and how long will be added on? 4 minutes at the end of the first half. Another Sunderland set piece to come. Believe it's similar customers, and Trey Hume and Enzo Lefebvre over it. It is Hume. It's right-footed. It's deep. It's Ballard's head. It's deflected away and into the hands of Martin Dubravka. They wanted a back pass there, Burnley, but I don't think that would be. I think that's just fair enough, and Dubravka reclaims. But again, another ball into the box that maybe Sunderland should do a little better from. Dan Ballard got up there and kept it in the area, but couldn't really threaten Dubravka's goal on that occasion. Burnley come away without any damage done on that set piece defensively. I did say I would show you the stats. There is the stats. All the red on the left hand side is Sunderland, and on the right hand side is Burnley, and you can see on the 4th and 5th kind of stat lines down, there is nothing in Burnley. Those are shots and shots on target. 0. Diarra really causing trouble between the lines here. Broadby, lovely football. Talby skipping away from a challenge and reversing it back to Ballard. The crowd are enjoying their team's performance tonight. The home side. Here's Reynildo down the left. Lacking any options ahead of him as he works it back inside to Siddiqui. Across to Ballard. Right to the far side it goes to Mukiele. Back to Ballard. Yeah, they'll just be settled. Just be patient, as I said. It's a key watchword of this team, and that's what they need to do. Just continue to be patient, in control of the game. Hume with a lovely little back touch. Finds Diarra in the half space again. And now Reynildo breaks forward. He's got Talby for company. Talby down the left-hand side. Picks it up. Can they add another to the scoreline before the break, Sunderland, or can Burnley hold on to be the worst of the damage already done? But About a minute and a half to go with the half, and no real rush, the home team. Hume clearly trying to link up down the right, as Hume will just play it all the way back to Robin Roofs. Siddiqui. Lefay back to Siddiqui, now Diarra. Playing some 1-2 pass and just managing the game to half time here, Sunderland. No risky forward passes, just simple little 1-2s. Oh, that was a little sharp from Siddiqui to completely disregard all of what I've just said. And now here's Jayden Anthony up against Ballard. Glimmer of hope for Burnley just before the half, as that shot well wide of the target. I mean, it's a better opportunity than they've had all game. I think it's Lucas Perez that made the run, and Anthony drags a little bit of a gap, and Perez striking towards the goal. Roofs had it covered, hit the side netting nonetheless. Goal kick. Now maybe that is something positive to take out of the half, Burnley, the fact that they've had 2 shots before the break. But I mean, slim pickings, to say the very least. This Roofs kick should just call an end to the half, as it does. The half-time whistle goes, and happy home crowd in comparison to the, I don't know how many travelling Burnley fans there are, but I'm sure they're not happy, whoever or wherever they are. And at the minute it looks pretty glum for the visitors. Sunderland have been just as good as they really needed to be in the first half. It's not been incredible by any stretch, but when Habib Diarra got his 2 chances, he took them, and so far that's what has Sunderland quite comfortably in the lead. It's the 2 of the 3 newly promoted sides facing off, but only one of them looks like they're competing in this game. Half time, it's Sunderland 2, Burnley 0. Sure, one last kick. This is gonna be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this, and Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions, and there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a 4th, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me. That is absolutely unbelievable. Rice again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and battered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible. Welcome back to Premier League Live half-time at the Stadium of Light on this Monday night game. It is Sunderland 2, Burnley 0. Habib Diarra returning to the starting 11 and getting 2 goals to this point. And of course, this is the final game of match day 24. We're going to recap all of the results, but of course in detail, all of yesterday's games that we missed, of course, here in LFS. So we're going to recap all of those for you now. But a reminder of Saturday's action: Brighton drew 1-1 with Everton in that game at the Amex. It was Brighton who took the lead late in the game, 73rd minute. Pascal Gross opened the scoring before a 97th minute equaliser from Beto levelled the game to rescue a point for David Moyes' side there on the south coast. It was a pretty comfortable day at the office for Arsenal. 4-0 victors away at Leeds. Martin Zubimendi, Noni Madueke, Victor Gyökeres and Gabriel Jesus all on the score sheet for the Gunners, ultimately to extend their lead to 6 points in the end after City's draw yesterday. It was 7 at the time of which they played, and 4-0 victors comfortable against Leeds United. It was another comfortable away win in the end for Bournemouth, after beating bottom side Wolves by 2-0. The early goal from Eli Junior Krupi gave the visitors the lead, and ultimately Alex Scott's 91st minute goal in the end brought it home for Bournemouth, albeit Wolves had a number of chances in the game, probably should have been back level in the game, but ultimately in the end it was a 2-0 victory for the visitors. It looked like it was going to be a win for the visitors at Stamford Bridge at half-time, and West Ham took a 2-goal lead into the break. 2 goals from Jared Bowen and Crescentio Somerville in the first half. Looked all rosy for Nuno Espirito Santo's side away at Chelsea, but a quick look at the tactics at half-time for Liam Senior, and 3 subs that really categorised the change of this game. Wesley Fofana, Marco Correa and João Pedro all came off at half-time, or all came on at half-time, shall I say, to make the difference. Wesley Fofana set up João Pedro for the first goal for Chelsea. Substitute Marco Correa then levelled to make it 2-2. And then João Pedro got on in the action of setting up the third and winning goal for Enzo Fernandez in the 92nd minute to complete the comeback for Chelsea. Back-to-back comeback victories in the space of 3 days, one in the Champions League and one in the Premier League. And it's 3 wins out of 3 for Liam Senior as Chelsea boss to start the season. All on top of that, West Ham went down to 10 men in the 101st minute. Jean-Claire Todibo given a straight red card for violent conduct, basically trying to strangle João Pedro Bart Simpson style, if you've ever seen that. It was terrible, to say the very least, from Jean-Claire Todibo, and West Ham down to 10, albeit academic at that point, and it finished 3-2. Liverpool 4-1 winners against Newcastle, but it was Anthony Gordon, the former Everton player, to give the Magpies the lead. A Ugo Ekitike brace inside in the space of 2 minutes, first set up by Florian Wirtz, the second by Milos Kerkez, to give the Frenchman into double figures in the Premier League this season, his 9th and 10th goals, to give Liverpool a half-time lead. It was then Wirtz who turned provider into finisher after Mo Salah set him up for the third, for Ibrahima Konate got his quite a poetic moment for him to make it 4-1 for Liverpool, and a comfortable victory. The first league win of the calendar year for Liverpool at Anfield there on Saturday nights. In terms of Sunday's action, it was defeat for Aston Villa in their game against Brentford, a Brentford side who are doing pretty well themselves this season, up to 7th with that victory away at Villa Park, albeit down to 10 in that game, Brentford, for quite a long time, and they were down to 10 before they took the lead. Kevin Shadow was given a straight red card for violent conduct, but Dango Ouattara scored in the 46th minute of the first half to give Brentford the lead. It was a lead they would hold on to for the rest of the game. New Villa signing, albeit in his second spell, Tammy Abraham, thought he'd levelled, but that was ruled out by VAR, and ultimately it finished Aston Villa 0, Brentford 1. Another, in quotation marks, a real blow to Villa's title hopes, as I say, with a little bit of a smile on my face, albeit in the end a defeat nonetheless for Unai Emery's side. A good game, full of goals at Old Trafford. It finished Man United 3, Fulham 2 in that one at Old Trafford. It was Casemiro who found the opener, albeit in a real bizarre spell of action in that 2-minute spell in the first half. Initially, the referee David Brooks pointed to the spot to give a penalty. That was ruled out by VAR because there was a foul outside the box and therefore was not inside the box, which was pulled back for a free kick. From said free kick, Bruno Fernandes whipped it in and Casemiro headed home. Of course, announced this week that he would be leaving the club in the summer, and he got the goal to open the scoring. Albeit it was Cunha who doubled the lead for United on 56 to make it 2-0. Cuenca thought he'd got one back for Fulham, albeit in the end, in the 69th, ruled out by VAR. But they did get back into the game, Fulham. In the 85th minute, 5 minutes to go, they got their first goal of the game. Raul Jimenez from the penalty spot, making it 12 out of 12 for his Premier League career from the penalty spot, the most of any Premier League player in history to take a penalty without missing one. And he got them back in it. And Kevin with an incredible finish. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. In the 91st minute, Kevin, a goal well worthy of getting a point at Old Trafford, but in the end, painfully taken away from Fulham when Benjamin Šeško found the net from Bruno Fernandes' delivery. And in the 94th minute, it was 3-2 to United, and that's the way it finished at Old Trafford. 3 wins out of 3 for Michael Carrick as the interim boss. It was all square. It finished at the City Ground between struggling Nottingham Forest and out-of-form Crystal Palace. In that game between those two, it was an early goal for Nottingham Forest to give them the lead. Morgan Gibbs-White in the 5th minute gave them the lead. A day and a weekend full of bizarre red cards. Nico Williams given a red card, a straight red card, for a professional handball. I mean, he was missing his goalkeeping gloves, Nico Williams. It was quite that clear if you've ever seen those types of clips of outfield players trying to save it like a goalkeeper. That's what Nico Williams tried to do. He got a straight red card, and ultimately Ismaila Sarr was returned from AFCON, scored from the penalty spot a little later in the half to level things for Crystal Palace. No goals in the second, albeit both sides pushed, but in the end it finished 1-1. But to the key game at the in North London at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, when it looked like at half-time, similarly to it did in the Chelsea-West Ham game, that it looked like it was only going one way at the break. Manchester City, 2 goals in the first half. Ryan Cherki and Antoine Semenyo with the 2 goals to give City a 2-goal lead. And some would say Spurs had probably one of the worst halves they've ever seen Spurs have in that first half. But somehow it changed at half-time and Thomas Frank figured something out. And Dominic Solanke take a bow because the second goal was absolutely sumptuous, by the way. The first, well created and well taken to get Spurs back into the game. But Dom Solanke with the scorpion kick, beautifully finished past Chichi Donnarumma to level the game for Spurs. And it looked like from then on in, it would be Spurs that would have been pushing for the winner. Ultimately, no winner came, and it was a point apiece shared. But 2 points dropped for Manchester City from a winning position, and it's the first time they've dropped points in a Premier League game from a 2-goal lead at half-time since April 2018. So it is not a very rare occurrence, almost 8 years since that's happened for City, and it happened yesterday for them to drop another 2 points, and it's now a 6-point gap for Arsenal at the top of the Premier League table. A quick look at that for you. It is Arsenal who lead the way, 53 points, City on 47, then come Villa on 46, United skipping up into the top 4 on 41, followed by Chelsea on 40 and Liverpool on 39, a real chase for that 4th place spot for those 3 teams. Brentford not out of the conversation, and Sunderland, who are winning at the moment, would also get themselves into that. They're 8th, but only, as I said earlier, 4 points off 5th place Chelsea, 5 off the top 4. Not out of the realms of possibility for the Black Cats, albeit a very unbelievably unexpected finish it would be if they were able to do that. But it's never say never in the Premier League. That was the weekend in full for you, all wrapped up. Busy weekend, and of course, as I said, Sunderland leading by 2-0 at the break. We'll recap this game later on, of course, when it's all done and dusted. But a reminder for you, a big Sunday afternoon next Sunday in the Premier League. Look at this, the game of the week at Anfield next Sunday at 4:30 is Liverpool, the champions, of course, albeit only probably by name at this rate, but they're still the holders, taking on Manchester City, who need a bit of luck in their chase for the title now. 6 adrift of Arsenal and need a big result, and there'll be no bigger if they win at Anfield on Sunday. That's 4:30 to round off another big Premier League weekend. We'll have that for you, along with Brighton against Palace as well on Sunday afternoon. In midweek, though, City back in action in the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg. They have a 2-goal lead against Newcastle. That's on Wednesday night. We'll react to that. And it's all building up to the 2026 Carabao Cup final, which will see the winners of that tie take on the winners of Chelsea against Arsenal, which takes place tomorrow night, the second leg. Arsenal 3-2 lead from the first leg. And the final all concludes for the chase for that trophy right behind the screen there on Sunday, the 22nd of March, live from Wembley. Right, second half between Sunderland and Burnley on the way in just a moment. Sunderland lead by 2-0. Can Burnley mount a comeback, or is it going to be a simple night for the Black Cats under the Stadium of Light? Welcome back to Premier League Live. Second half is on the way in just a second from the Stadium of Light. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. We're in the vicinity of 31,000 subscribers. If you could help us on that road, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for your company for this one tonight to round off another big Premier League weekend as well. It's been deadline day, some big action as well. We'll tell you a few of those details as the half goes on here at the Stadium of Light. We recapped you a little earlier but of course it's been confirmed that Jørgen Strand Larsen is now a Crystal Palace player after making that £48 million club record move to Palace from Wolves earlier this afternoon. Back on the way though at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland 2 to the good. Habib Diarra's goals the difference. And speaking of difference, Burnley did make a half-time change. So Axel Tuanzebe, who deflected the first goal in, has been replaced by Josh Laurent at centre-back. Straight swap there for Burnley. We'll see a change of approach possibly from Scott Parker's team. Here comes Marcus Edwards, drifting into the box here, breaking forward. Edwards, well, shielded by Alderete, behind for the Burnley corner, but that's the sort of early positivity they need in the second half to have any chance of getting back into this game. Again, for the first time tonight, we actually saw them hold the ball up high up the field. It was Lyle Foster did really well. It laid off to Marcus Edwards, and he carried the ball to the byline and won a corner out of Alderete. Corner delivered in, up and away at the near post by Diarra. Impactful in both boxes, as Marcus Edwards just recycles again for Burnley from the throw-in. By the way, that opening goal for Sunderland, has been corrected. Initially, it was Habib Diarra's goal that had been credited to him, but it's an Axel Tuanzebe own goal that it has been corrected to. So that is the update there. That's a nice bit of move from Talby, beating two men down that side. He still had the ball and he tried his best to get it towards the area. Ultimately goes for a goal kick, but really good attempt from Talby, whose full name escapes me. Chemsedine Talby. Did his very best there, Talby. But ultimately Kyle Walker had the experience and guided it out behind. Goal kick. Of course, it seems pretty simple to say, but the next goal will be huge in this fixture. Jadon Anthony whips a ball in, up and headed away. I think it came off the head of Alderete again, who had to get in the way of it. It did, and was out for a throw on the far side. But you got to say, Burnley have tried to be a bit more aggressive in the second half so far. A couple of one or two opportunities in the first few minutes, showing their intentions of not to sit back, and well, there's no choice, they're 2-0 down. Kyle Walker, deep ball into the area, up and away by Alderete. He's got to everything so far for Sunderland in this second half. They clear further and all the way back to Martin Dubravka to pick it back up again for Burnley. work to do. All it takes is one goal. It can swing the momentum, make Sunderland a bit nervous, give Burnley confidence, and really swing it back in the visitors' favour. Albeit, as I said, a real tough one to climb, but they've really got to at this moment in time, Burnley. They can't just be hanging on in games. They need to really take control and do their ever hardest to try and get as many points as they possibly can. They need to start seeing wins on the board rather than draws and defeats. Albeit they've probably tried that all season, obviously, but with really minimal effect. That's a nice effort by Perez, who tried his best, but too close to Robin Roos, who had it under control. It seems like they're a little bit toothless when they get towards the area. Burnley, they've really tried to work it from the wide areas, but to no avail. I mean, we've not seen any of Lyle Foster in that centre-forward position all night. A real ghost. Brobby did really well holding up, couldn't quite find Talby. I mean, the pass was there. He does the hard one. He held off Humphreys really well, Brobby. His hold-up play tonight's been absolutely fabulous. And ultimately, the easier part, the pass, was just a little bit wayward. Also as well wonder what Regis Labrisa said to his side at half-time, because they were so much better than their opponents in that first half. I mean, they were quite just comfortable. I mean, at no point did I think that they looked nervous or Burnley looked in any sort of threat to Sunderland. And, you know, what would Regis Labrisa have said to his side? Probably, don't get complacent. Don't think you've already won this game, because that's when you can get caught out. And I think that's as well important for Sunderland. Be patient, take your time, not really force the issue at 2-0. Just be comfortable and try and push for that third, but also don't push too much to give Burnley a little bit of hope of getting a goal back. It's finding that balance and managing this game now for the home team from a 2-goal lead. So far, they've been penned in a little bit in the fact that Burnley have had the majority of the possession in the second half. Here's Ogachukwu. Seen away by Le Fay, but again, Burnley keep the possession. Sunderland a little bit on the back foot here. Ogachukwu in the wide areas. Walker, deep delivery, up and away by Ballard. And no one to get it forward though for Sunderland, as Esteve heads it back to Dubravka and comfortably does. Under no pressure. But even at the point when it was 50-50 possession in the first half, Burnley again, as I said, had 2 shots, but they came really late in the first half and they were wayward efforts. I mean, they need to find some threat. But tried to put the ball in the box there, well defended by Sunderland, and now they've got a man to break away. Here is Diarra. If they haven't said at half-time, mark him, they will be stupid, and they've done well to win it back again, Burnley. Ogachukwu finding its way out to Laurent on the right-hand side as he recycles it back to Walker. Inside it goes. Edwards. Florentino. Now Ogachukwu back to Edwards. Away to Esteve. Feeds it down the left side. Finds Jadon Anthony. Good play from Burnley this. Anthony. Again, the cross is easily cleared away by Le Fay. And Brobby on the back line here again. But much better defended there by Humphreys. Try and break down the right there, Burnley. Reynildo and Laurent in a battle, and Reynildo wins the free kick off Josh Laurent, who brought him down. Free kick to Sunderland. Well, you got to say, 7-8 minutes of the second half gone, and Burnley have given it a little bit of a fight. They've been the more positive of the two teams. Again, they've got it all to do, so they have no choice but to try and pen Sunderland in and really give them a real scare, but at the moment, still lacking that threat in the final third, that cutting edge to really pose a main threat in the box. And Whether they might need to go to the bench to try and find something like that, still to be decided and questioned. Personally, I think they do need to go to the bench. Just a change of personnel. I think Sunderland are comfortable at dealing with those personalities out there and those players, both in and out of possession, and I think they just need a little bit of a rejig, Burnley, to change one or two things. Of course, Josh Laurent is on to try and change a few things, but I mean, further forward in that scenario, maybe an Armando Broja off the bench could really help Burnley here at holding it up higher up the field. He's good hold-up player, Armando Broja. Real strong attacking player. That's well defended. Sunderland a little bit off the mark there as the Burnley manager Scott Parker wanted to get it going quickly. Ultimately not successful. They've won it back here. Edwards plays it to Anthony. Good defending by Mukiele, who did well. Helped out by Siddiqui and Lafay. Back again for Hume, who gets rid. I don't know whether Regis Labrise maybe needs to make one or two changes here. Sunderland look just a little bit disjointed, under pressure, unable to really take any sort of control of the ball, albeit it was 50-50 in the first half. But I think Burnley have dominated the possession so far in the second, and maybe just need another injection of energy, something from the bench to maybe switch things in Sunderland's favour here. Mukiele, heavy pass back to Roofs, albeit has it under control. Roofs' long ball to no one, and out for a throw into Burnley. Proud maybe a little, not impatient, but a little bit, maybe nerves starting to creep in a little bit, who knows. Work to do, certainly for the visitors. I mean, they're no choice but to try and do something here. Let me see it here. Edwards caught. It's Burnley a free kick. Well, as I said, so far the second half, albeit no shots in the game, but 79% possession for Burnley to this second period. So they've been in control of the ball. I don't think that will massively concern Regis Labrise, but it just means if the momentum swings in Burnley's favour with this possession and they get a chance, maybe just try and get ahead of it and manage this game. Kyle Walker over the free kick, right-footed delivery, flicked on, and flicked well over the crossbar by Maxime Esteve. Well off target. Goal kick. Yeah, the ball just a little bit low from Walker, if I'm honest. Esteve's the only real player threatening it for Burnley. There was a lack of whip. And there's a man on the bench that has more than enough whip on a set piece. James Ward-Prowse, one of the most prolific set piece takers Premier League has probably ever seen. Gotta say, certainly from direct free kicks, he's a real threat. Sunderland getting it going again with Ballard. Back to Roofs, who will go long once more. Brobby the target. Brobby trying to hold off his man. Got the better of his man, and he's actually going to get the free kick, Brian Brobby. Humphreys the one penalised, and again, it looked like Brobby did enough to hold Humphreys off in the end, but he was being dragged quite a few yards back. Definitely a foul. Free kick to the home team. And I mean, albeit a different Burnley player that he's causing a threat, but he did that all the way throughout the first half. Brian Brobby absolutely gave Maxime Esteve a torrid time. His hold-up play and his movement in between the lines, dropping from that centre-forward role. Hume's ball in behind is massively overhit. That's strange. More than poor from the captain there, Trey Hume. Pressure on Dubravka, who still wants to play out here, but Sunderland have all the pressure on and given the time and space to play out there. Ballard wins the first header, taken in by Talby, but foot race between him and Walker able to guide it out for the throw. Well, if this does end the way it looks very likely to end, and Burnley do fall to defeat for the 15th time this season in 24 games, they will set 11 adrift of safety with just 14 games left to play of the season, which is less than 2/3 of the campaign to go. Or less than 1/3 of the campaign, shall I say. 2/3 gone. More than 2/3 gone. And no more than, obviously, question marks are being asked that, well, they've given it enough of a fight this season. Second most goals conceded, the joint second fewest goals scored. I mean, it's a poison chalice, conceding way more than you score. Here's Diarra. He's on a hat-trick, remember. Tried his best to win a corner there for Sunderland, but two Burnley players, and Stev cleans it away, but only as far as Mukiele down the right. Feeds it back into midfield, applauded by the home crowd. Ballard finding Reynildo. Sunderland coming forward eventually now. Reynildo, nice little 1-2. Takes onto his right foot. Fakes the shot. Goes with his left. And Reynildo couldn't keep the shot down. Best play of the half for Sunderland there. Really calm from Mukiele. Spread it to Ballard, who found Reynildo. Nice little 1-2 between him and Trey Hume, I think it was. Broke down that left. Or was it Talby? Nonetheless, Reynildo breaks inside. He cuts onto his right. Fakes the shot. Cuts back onto his left. And the shot was just over the crossbar. But decent play, though, from the home team there. Now, we have a bit of news to tell you. We told you it's deadline day, of course, and of course the transfer window in the Premier League in England closed, of course, at 7 o'clock. But of course, if you get a deal sheet in and the agreement is agreed between both clubs and the personal terms are agreed, you can do more paperwork for a couple of hours after the window closes. One of the deals that hangs in the balance, we told you earlier that a bid had been accepted from Everton for Dwight McNeil from Crystal Palace. However, we're now hearing from Paul Joyce, a very reliable Merseyside journalist, that the deal is now off due to the fact that Crystal Palace have pulled out of the deal, is the feeling from the Everton perspective. So £20 million bid for Dwight McNeil was accepted by Everton from Crystal Palace. However, the deal looks like it's going to be off and it's not going to go through. Right, back to the game. Free kick to Burnley. Kyle Walker over it. On the right-hand side. Fizz towards the area. Beaten by the first Sunderland player in the way of it. And Walker does really well, ultimately intercepting a ball that could have been so incredibly dangerous in behind Burnley's defence. But hopeless again. I think they've got some sort of phobia against the 18-yard box of the opposing team because they cannot get anything. And Broby out-muscling Esteve again. Broby trying to recycle it to find a man through the middle. It was Lefay running through that time in the clearance made by Humphreys, but the home crowd again applauding what has been a really strong performance from Brian Broby. He's done really, really well up there. And this is going to trigger some Burnley substitutions. So Josh Laurent already came on for Exeter Tuanzebe at half-time, but two more to come. Armando Broja is on, as well as Zion Fleming. So Fleming and Broja on, Lyle Foster and Florentino are off for Burnley. So another little adjustment, I would suspect, because they need it. Certainly in the offensive area of the field, they need some extra bodies, some extra help. Reynildo's going to go for the long throw, it looks like. He is going to go long. He can't quite get it towards the box, and Oh, it went long, and there was about 3 Sunderland players in the box to get on the end of it. They've won it back though. 0-0 it back to Ballard. We will go for the long switch ball. Audacious, and Hume, beautiful first touch. Takes it in nicely and lays it off well to Diarra, who's on a hat-trick. Habib Diarra lays it off for Brobbey. Takes a touch, Brobbey! Well saved. The follow-up is over the crossbar. And I think there's a man down in the box. Well, Habib Diarra broke through. He's on a hat-trick. He wanted it. Mukiele's gone down. We see this again. Really good from Trey Hume. Laid it off to Habib Diarra. Broke into the space again. Too lazy from Burnley defensively. No one throwing themselves at it. In the end, Brobbey on the half-turn. Gets a shot off with his left. Well saved by Martin Dubravka. And as it rebounds out into the path, I think it might be Mukiele that gets the contact to it. He struck over the bar and was clattered as he took the shot. And that's why he's down in pain. But Brobbey with a shot. Little touch off Walker's foot. Well saved by Dubravka. And the follow-up over the bar by Mukiele. But again, Sunderland close to threatening for a third there. And Diarra and Brobbey very intrinsically involved in it again. Those two have been top tier for Sunderland tonight. Top tier. I think it all comes, though, from the really good touch by Trey Hume. A long, hopeful switch ball by Dan Ballard, and the touch from Hume is perfect. And the 2 Northern Irishmen linking up there. But further on than that, I mean, Diarra and Brobbey have been fantastic from Sunderland. And we talk about, I mean, I'm sick to death of saying this, but it's becoming a real theme in not only the Premier League but in European football that teams love to have possession. All well and good having possession, but if you do nothing with it, it's completely pointless to have the ball. Albeit the possession's been 50-50, so it's not been that Burnley have dominated the ball right the way through. The second half they've had 73% of the ball. So in comparison, they've been dominant in the second period with the ball. They've had one shot and an XG of 0.01 with 73% of the ball. I mean, have the ball all you like, but if you're not doing anything with it and you're just popping around sideways and backwards and not breaking lines, not trying to put the other team under pressure in the box. Oh, Trey Hume and Martin Dubravka getting up in each other's business here. Seen a couple of scuffles this weekend. Well, that's one way to end it. Trey Hume and Martin Dubravka. Certainly a mismatch height-wise, but they're all getting involved now. I mean, honestly. I think they're both going to get a yellow card here. And rightfully so. Yeah, Martin Dubravka and Trey Hume getting yellow cards for their antics. I mean, just stupid. I mean, Trey Hume just tries to get the better. I mean, what on earth? Trey Hume trying to make a run. He stops his run, and I don't know whether he collides with Martin Dubravka, but I mean, he makes some sort of contact with him. And Dubravka takes it all the wrong way. I mean, he does nothing wrong there. And Dubravka steps up, gets all in his face, and then Hume reciprocates. I mean, Martin Dubravka got that all wrong there. I mean, Trey Hume done nothing. He's kind of walked into him, but he was making a run, so it was momentum that carried him into him. Anyway, nonetheless, they've both been given a yellow card. It was completely useless 30 seconds of time in this game. And a complete misunderstanding. Sunderland back in this and threatening once again for more. Pressure on Dubravka. Takes his time to Esteve. He's well closed down by Diarra. Will be a throw-in though to Burnley, but home crowd applauding their side's pressure. Out of possession. Another Burnley change incoming, their fourth of the game. It's going to see the end of the night of, I think that's Marcus Edwards who's going to be replaced. And it is, and it's Loam Chowna who's going to be the replacement. So Chowna on for Edwards. As they try and clear it away, Esteve again, blocked by Diarra. Goal kick. Andy says, did I miss much? Was away. Have Burnley even come close yet? No, you've not missed anything really. From a Burnley point of view, you still yet to have a shot on target. Robin Roofs has had an easy night. Here come Sunderland, Brobby again in behind. Just couldn't take the touch with him. And again, Sunderland, every time they come forward, they look a threat. Every time Burnley come forward, they look like they're going to give it away again. Nice 1-2, a little heavy. Tolby couldn't carry it with him. And Lefay was the target. Energy back in this stadium after it was a little bit low-key for the first 20 minutes of the half. Ballard throwing himself into a crunching challenge and caught on the way through there. On the right knee, it's Jaden Anthony who's made contact, and he's going to get a yellow card for his unnecessary challenge, according to the referee. Yeah, he's just a little late there, Jaden Anthony. Nowhere near the ball. Yeah. Maybe a foul just, but a yellow has been given. 4th of the season for Jaden Anthony. Well, I don't know whether this will be the last time I'll watch Burnley this season. I'll not be too keen the next time, but I was intrigued to see what way this one would turn out. Burnley had a good result against Sunderland. The reverse fixture, I mean, a lot of water's carried under the bridge since then, but, you know, I thought they'd give it more of a fight than they have tonight. They've been absolutely hopeless further forward. Dreadful going forward tonight, Burnley. Defensively, they've not been much better. A bit better in the second half, and they brought on Laurent and made a little adjustment, but still, they've looked absolutely hopeless. If there was ever a game you could be inspired if something could happen, and they look threatening again. Here, Sunderland, Mukiele across to finish it. Probably misses the kick completely. That would have been the finishing touch, and he was lacking the finishing touch there, Brobby. Couldn't get any contact to the ball as it was whipped in by Mukiele. They're pushing for that third to really wrap it up now, Sunderland. Here's Tolby, breaking towards the box. Tolby! Oh, what a finish! Tolby cuts inside and finds top bins to really put the cap on it for Sunderland. For all that Burnley have lacked in quality, Sunderland have made up for tenfold, and that is a cracking finish by Tolby from the left-hand side. It's one of those hit and hope moments, but take nothing away from the finish. Underside of the crossbar, as top ends as you could find it, and that really puts this game to bed if it was ever in question before this. Sunderland 3, Burnley 0. Best goal of the night, certainly. Arguably one of the best of the weekends. Although there's quite a lot to contend with, but that's a fantastic finish. Again, it came from the pressure with Brobby missing the kick a few seconds ago, and it's picked up by Tolby again. Far too standoffish from Burnley. I mean, there's 3 players around him, and none of them try and make a challenge. All running towards their own box, afraid of a stray cat there. I mean, that's terrible. I mean, and Tolby cuts inside, underside of the crossbar. Beautiful finish. Dubravka had absolutely no chance. Fantastic finish. 3-0. I mean, it's just gorgeous to watch a goal like that. And Tolby, he's doing the sleeping motion. Well, he's put Burnley to sleep. They were hanging on the ropes. Barely on the ropes. And now they've been completely knocked out. Dead as a doornail. And Burnley, this is really quite punishing for them. I mean, the Clarets have been terrible tonight. No doubt about it. Burnley have deserved to lose, and deserve to lose quite comfortably, because Sunderland have just been better quality-wise in the final third. It's been that simple. Just seen that comment from Andy. Did Burnley ever wake up? Yeah, I don't think they were. they haven't woke up at all. I mean, I mean, I'm completely neutral. I don't care. Ultimately, I just want to see good football. And so far tonight, Sunderland have played really good football. Burnley haven't. And the scoreline reflects that. It's that simple. Habib Diarra with the 2 goals in the first half. And the third and somewhat best of the weekend, ultimately in that category, from Chemseddine Tolby, has added the 3rd goal. I mean, and as well as that, they've been clinical, Sunderland. It's not that they've peppered the Burnley goal, because they haven't. They've had 10 shots and 4 on target. But they've been clinical. 4 shots on target, 3 goals. When they get into those spaces, when they get into those areas to really make the killer moment, more often than not, and certainly tonight, more often than not, they've taken that chance and they've found the net. And, I mean, the 3rd goal is just pure class and quality, but they've been the better team and deservedly have that 3-goal lead. A little bit of a shove on Zian Fleming. It's going to get them a free kick here, Burnley, but purely academic now. The Burnley fans that have travelled up to the northeast, I mean, don't know why you would. I mean, you're supporting your football club, of course you would, but they will really feel now that the writing's on the wall, albeit mathematically it's far from done yet, of course. Still 14 games to go and still only 11 adrift. I mean, we've seen teams in similar positions escape, albeit not often, but it has happened. They need one hell of a turnaround if they're going to get anywhere near staying in the division. And after what has been a 4-game unbeaten streak in all competitions, 3 in the league, back to a hat-trick of draws, shall I say. At home to Man United, away to Liverpool, and home to Spurs, which are good results, but ultimately pretty comfortably seen to the end by Sunderland tonight. Albeit this will be the biggest losing margin if it ends 3-0. The biggest losing margin that Burnley have had since they lost 5-1 to Manchester City back at the end of September, when they lost by 4 goals on that occasion. They've either lost by 1 or 2 goals in each of those games that they've lost since. So this will be the biggest losing margin since the end of September. But again, it doesn't matter how many you lose by, you've still lost the game of football, and have looked like, I mean, still yet to have a shot on target. I think that really sums it up. But that's the difference, you know, when you talk about newly promoted teams. It's all well and good getting promoted, but it's about the business you do after that. It's what you do and the hard work you put in to stay in the Premier League after that that really makes it all worth it. I mean, we saw Norwich come up and down a number of times, West Brom, loads of teams that have come up from the Championship and looked hopeless when they get to the Premier League. And unfortunately, I don't want to put Burnley in that category, but they're not helping themselves with that reputation. Every time they do come up, they don't look like a team that they were under Sean Dyche, where they were a Premier League team every year. They were pushing and threatening teams. They were ugly, they were aggressive, they were really hard to break down, really tough to beat, and they had some really good finishers at the top end of the pitch. I mean, they've got none of that at the minute. They can't keep a ball out of their own net at Premier League level, and they can't threaten up the other end either. I mean, it's, as I said earlier, a poison chalice. And trying to stay in the Premier League as Zian Fleming penalised for a challenge on Habib Diarra, and a free kick to Sunderland. And as well, it's naive from Burnley. We talk a lot. It's not that players aren't good enough. And look, at the top end of the pitch and in defence, players aren't good enough, some of them. It's also about kind of the know-how of the Premier League. I mean, I have no doubt, albeit I think a lot of Sunderland's players have been fantastic this season. They've recruited really well, the manager's done really well, and they've been really strong defensively. But one of the catalysts for Sunderland's performances this season has been the incoming of Granit Xhaka, an experienced player who knows the Premier League, who knows what way to get results in the league, and has done it for a number of years at a top football club. Another chance! Oh! I think Alderete missed the kick there. I think the whistle had gone anyway, but another threatening moment for Sunderland. But the know-how of the Premier League, I don't think any of the Burnley players, probably Kyle Walker, but other than that, you look at Burnley and you look and go, where are the players that are going to lead this team to do things and to stay in the Premier League? Kyle Walker, a good signing, but probably at the end of his career, and possibly not at the level really anymore to impact as much. But Sunderland going to make some changes. First of the night, and it's going to be the man who put the first 2 goals in the net, Habib Diarra, albeit only credited for 1 after Tuanzebe was given the credit for the first. And also going to be replaced by the other goal scorer, Chemzani Talbi, who has certainly put the finish on this one and the conclusion on it. Cracking finish from Talbi. He's going to be replaced as well. Cracker of a goal. Individual quality mixed with pure team play. Sunderland are a perfect match of both, and they're going to make a double change. It's going to see the introduction of Lucharel Gertrude, who linked with a move away to Liverpool in this window. He's on the field, as well as Romain Mundell. And also, Brian Brobby was replaced by Wilson Isidore. So, a full collection of changes for Sunderland. Brobby, Talby, and Diarra all off. And they've all been replaced by Mundell, Isidore, and Gertrude. As I said, Romain Mundell, who scored in the last game between these two at Stadium of Light. That was a 1-0 victory for Sunderland in the Championship early last season. They won by a goal to nil on that occasion, and he comes on 18 months later with them in the Premier League and 3-0 to the good, with 10 minutes to go. And actually, what I haven't done is check my fantasy team from yesterday. It was okay this weekend. I mean, 63 points. I'm actually really happy. Good points out of Ekatike, Wirtz, Haaland as well, like captain, which was probably a silly decision in the end. Andy Gordon got a goal. Raya kept a clean sheet. Cherky as well. I mean, a good weekend for me, certainly in the fantasy team. The only player I have left, Wilson Isidore, who's on the pitch now. So if he can help out with a goal, I could have a very good conclusion to the week. 63 points. The only one I'm really annoyed at is I didn't bring Adrian Truffert on. Playing was away from home, you'd expect him to get good points. He got 6 points. He had him on the bench, which is the only qualm that I have about that. But yeah, good weekend for the FPL. I had a horrible weekend last weekend. Another free kick here for Sunderland. Ball fed towards the area. Ballard with a flick on, but Burnley react and clear. Right for the Sunderland throw. And if they weren't managing the game before Sunderland, they'll certainly manage it now. I gotta say, I mean, I'm not even going to talk about Burnley's survival hopes anymore because I've talked enough. It's boring me now. But certainly for Sunderland, it looks like they're going to remain, unless we have one of those bizarre comebacks ever. Sunderland are going to continue to be the only side yet to lose a home Premier League match this season. They've won 6, drew 5. It looks like it'll be 7 and 5 after 12 games. The only promoted side to have a longer home unbeaten run in the Premier League season was Birmingham in the 09-10 season, when they went 15 unbeaten at home before they lost their first home league game of that campaign in their 16th. Here's Trey Hume! Shot deflected behind for the corner. Esteve in the way. I thought they were going to manage this one. They're pushing for another. Put a bit of a shine on their goal difference at the minute, Sunderland. Remember, that goal difference is what's keeping them below Brentford in the table. We'll have a +1 goal difference as it stands, Sunderland. Brentford with +4. Both level on points at 36. But Trey Hume came close. Esteve in the way. Corner to Sunderland. I mean, the crowd would love to add more to this. Another great night under the Stadium of Lights. Hume whips the corner in, up and away at the first action, and fed back in by Sadiq. He might have hurt himself in the process there, as it's into the hands of Dubravka. He carries some boos as he has a hold of the ball from the home crowd. Ogachukwu. Walker. I mean, Perez. Well, let me know in the chat who you think your player of the match is. I mean, there's no question, no doubt about my one. I'll give you some candidates. That's what we'll do. We'll do a poll and I'll give you some candidates for the player of the match, because you could argue there's a few, but for me there's only one player in my mind that's player of the match for this. But I'll give you a poll. I'll give you 3 options. Ooh, Bern Larson was in the middle there, but there's one of 4 options that I could have thought of that could win player of the match. Let us know, get your votes in, and we'll tell you who you voted for. And I'll tell you my player of the match. I mean, there's no question in my mind who I think player of the match is. But I've given you 4 options. Habib Diarra, Chemzadine Talbi, of course the 2 goal scorers tonight for Sunderland. Dan Ballard, who's been a stalwart at the back. And Brian Brobby, who did really well with that hold-up play early in the game. And all the way through the game, I've got to be honest. But again, there's a number of Sunderland players that could have won it tonight. They've all looked really strong. I think midfield, Lefay, Siddiqui, done nothing wrong. They've been quite confident. Alderetti's looked a little bit off it, but okay. Mukiele's looked fine. Trey Hume's been decent enough. I mean, Reynaldo has actually looked a good threat down that left-hand side. There's no one for Sunderland that have looked out of place, shall I say. But for me, there's only one player who deserves player of the match. Keep getting your votes in. We'll keep the poll open until the final whistle, and then we'll confirm that, as they're going to make another change here. Sunderland made a triple change just a few minutes ago. It looks like Luke O'Nine's going to be coming on for the final few minutes, replacing Alderetti. So a substitution, Omar Alderetti replaced by Luke O'Nine. Pressure applied here by Isidore. Clearance by Kyle Walker down the right channel. Well challenged down that side. Right for the throw in on the far flank. Well, we've already shown you the stats. Let's quickly show you the Premier League table on the left hand side of your screen before we do leave you this evening. And of course we'll recap the table and quick look at the results, but a quick look at that left hand side of your screen in a second. There we are, and as you can see, Sunderland up to 8th in the table, which is an improvement, as you can see there from the highlighted marker. Up to 8th, level on points with Brentford in 7th, not too far away from those below them either, or above them shall I say, in terms of chasing Europe, which would be a dream season for Sunderland. Not only stay in the league, but push for Europe in their first season back in the Premier League. But of course they take a mid-table finish, no doubt about it. Romain Mundell bursting away here on the counter-attack. He's got Zion Fleming on the chase. Mundell just going to be comfortable. Plays it back to Gertrude. All the way back to Robin Roofs in the Sunderland goal. Well, a quick look at what's to come for these two teams. We'll talk about Sunderland first, and a bit more on a positive note. After that 3-1 defeat to West Ham last weekend, they're back to winning ways. Certainly back-to-back home wins as well. They have a tough a task as any, heading away to Arsenal next weekend at the Emirates. And then they welcome Liverpool in the next midweek to the Stadium of Light. That's 2 huge games to come. And then they've Oxford away in the FA Cup, followed by a home game against Fulham. So a decent run of results for Sunderland, albeit some two really tricky ones to come next. But for Burnley, they've one hell of a fixture to come this weekend at home against West Ham. If they're going to have any chance at staying up, they probably need to win that game against West Ham. They then head to out-of-form Crystal Palace the midweek after that. So the next couple of fixtures for Burnley, they need to start picking up victories. They then host Mansfield in the FA Cup, and then they trip to Stamford Bridge on the 21st. And the next two Premier League games, West Ham and Crystal Palace, two teams down there in the mix with Burnley. They need to be right on the throat of those two teams if they're going to stay in the division, Burnley, this season. Looks as unlikely as anything, but you never know. Isidore got a shot off straight down the throat of Martin Dubravka, but still pushing our Sunderland for more. Into the last minute of the 90. We'll see how long will be added on at the end of the 90 minutes. A little bit of head tennis in the mix here. Nice backtracking though by Sadiq, although it's going to be pulled back for a Burnley free kick in the middle of the pitch. A reminder for you, we've Carabao Cup semi-final action for you on Wednesday night. Man City a 2-goal lead from the first leg against the holders Newcastle. That's Wednesday, 8 o'clock from the Etihad Stadium, and we'll know who they will, the winner of that tie will face in the final as Arsenal take on Chelsea tomorrow night, and we'll conclude and recap that for you on Wednesday night. Of course, all building up to the 2026 Carabao Cup final on Sunday the 22nd of March, which we'll have live here on LFS that weekend. See who's going to win it all. That's nice play. Sunderland on the move again. 4 added minutes to come. Mukiele down the right hand side. Edges it out for the cross, but ultimately the cross goes behind. There's actually going to be a yellow card given out to Kyle Walker here. In the build-up, I believe. A foul on Enzo Lefebvre. And Kyle Walker given a yellow card. 8th of the season. Quick update from our player of the match vote. Keep your votes coming in. If you haven't voted already, do vote on that poll in the chat on your player of the match. At the minute, it's Brian Brobby that's winning out. 50% of the vote, 33% say Dan Ballard, 14% with Diarra, and 14% for Talby. So a good mix of players, but at the minute it's Brian Brobby that's winning out as it stands. Keep those votes coming in and we'll round that off at the final whistle. Oh my goodness me. Well, that crossfield ball was kept in by Lucas Perez, but it looked like it was flying out for a throw from a terrible crossfield ball. Thanks, Andy, for the support in the chat. And as maybe I don't say it enough, goal kick here to Sunderland as Ballard was down. But do like, subscribe and turn on post notifications. We've got so much to come. I mean, I can't wait. The Carabao Cup semi-finals, the final as well to come. Lots of Premier League football, FA Cup, Champions League. So much to come between now and the end of the season. We're only into the first few days of February, so a long way to go in the season as well. And we cannot wait. Well, the broadcaster is Northern Ireland Band Parades. Thank you very much for your involvement. In the chat says Diarra got the official man of the match from the broadcaster. He did, and that's my player of the match. I mean, Habib Diarra, 2 good goals, back in the team, giving them 2 good goals, especially early in the game to give them that lead, to give them that comfort. I mean, just incredible. My goodness me, Reynaldo in his own half here. Skills galore, and the crowd are loving it. They've given it away though, Sunderland, but last few seconds. Chance here though. Opportunity if they can snatch and steal a goal here, Burnley. Perez from distance. Ballard got it on the way of it quite comfortably. Cleared away. Fay was on the chase. Oh, scoop from Perez and picked up by Enzo Lefay. Dinked it through his man. Having fun now at the minute, Sunderland. Last few seconds, maybe they can push for a fourth. The crowd want it. Here's Romain Mundell. Left hand side, cuts it across, bubbles through. Isidore was in the mix. On the half turn, can't get a shot off. Now the shot from Isidore blocked. And away it goes. And it will stay in play, but last few seconds. There's the final whistle. A comprehensive result for Sunderland, and that unbeaten home run continues. 12 home games this season in the Premier League without defeat. 7 wins and 5 draws. An incredible season at home for Sunderland. The Stadium of Light is a fortress, and Burnley, they were nowhere near it all the way throughout tonight. They were second best from the very first minute right to the last. 2 goals, albeit Diarra not credited with both. Axel Tuanzebe given the credit of an own goal for the first. He then did get the creditation for the second. Habib Diarra returning to the starting lineup and getting involved in 2 big goals. And then cap of the night when Shamsuddin Talbi added the third with a top-class finish off the underside of the far crossbar to make it 3-0. Scott Parker's Burnley already had a bit of a mountain to climb coming to the Stadium of Light with all the context around it. But also, on top of that, their pretty dreadful performance. I think they will say it themselves. They were nowhere near it tonight. But Sunderland were quite a few streets ahead of them. And that's why they are where they are. And that's why Burnley are where they are. Second bottom, 11 adrift of safety. And in a real tough position heading into the final 14 games of their season. But for Sunderland, it's looking up. 8th. Only behind 7th place on goal difference. And within touching distance of Champions League places in the Premier League. And they are very much in the mix there. Final score at the Stadium of Light on Monday night. It's finished Sunderland 3, Burnley 0. And that's conclusion of match day 24 in the Premier League. Confirmation that Brian Brobby won the poll, 43% of the poll to win player of the match, 29% for Dan Ballard, 14% for Habib Diarra, 14% for Shamsuddin Talbi there in the chat. Thanks very much for getting involved. Right, that is conclusion of all 10 games this weekend. Brighton 1, Everton 1, Leeds 0, Arsenal 4, Wolves 0, Bournemouth 2, Chelsea 3, West Ham 2, Liverpool 4, Newcastle 1, Aston Villa 0, Brentford 1, Man United 3, Fulham 2, Forest 1, Palace 1, and Spurs 2, Man City 2. And concluding the weekend, it's finished Sunderland 3, Burnley 0. Well, there's a stat for you. Burnley, the only away side that didn't score this weekend. Just noticed that. And there you go. Reminder for you, we are back next Sunday with a blockbuster at Anfield as Liverpool take on Manchester City. Can City keep on the coattails of Arsenal? They think they need a big result in that game if they are to push them all the way. But can Liverpool cause a little bit of an upset in that one, albeit they're at home and they have a good home record? But you never know. That's Liverpool against City, our game of the week on Sunday afternoon. But to come this midweek, it's Carabao Cup action. City taking on Newcastle in return leg, a 2-goal advantage heading into that one for Pep Guardiola's side. That's on Wednesday night, and it all builds up to the 2026 Carabao Cup final on Sunday, the 22nd of March. But that is it from us tonight. Sunderland well ahead of Burnley, and they were guaranteed a great result when they took a 2-goal lead. No doubt about it. Burnley were second best, and they were well adrift, and no wonder why they're 11 points away from staying in the Premier League. They are getting dangerously close to Wolves type territory of being cast adrift and sent back packing to the Championship. But Sunderland, they're guaranteed all but surely a second season in the Premier League, certainly. Maybe even Europe to come. We're getting a bit excited. A great result for Sunderland. Dreadful for Burnley. Categorise their seasons. Good night.